what is that journey? How did you go from great tweets, very popular tweets about this horror story, and now to a book and then a podcast?
So once so it was this was like this was I think May of 2020, yeah, May of
Hmm. Hmm.
2020, right? When the lockdown had just, I
Uh-huh.
think April is when lockdown started. March is when lockdown started in most of the countries. April was when it started in, in US. And so my travel, I have a traveling job, so I have to travel a lot, right?
Right, right.
So when COVID happened, मेरी travel वगैरह सब रुक गई. So you have like 3 4 hours now, to when you figure out that you have it free. Or COVID का time था, so everybody was connected to Twitter.
Hmm.
It was the usage wasn't on time. That was the only way you were communicating or talking or killing time, right?
Yeah.
So ऐसे ही बैठे बैठे I was going through my old diary. So 20 years back when I used to like walk around Delhi, I used to just talk to people, collect stories, all kind of stories, like not just ghost stories or paranormal stories, but just all kind of stories, food, culture, history of a
Hmm.
monument, the general, life of people in Delhi. So, I was just going through my old diaries and then I figured out there was like whole bunch of these ghost stories that were based in Delhi. So I thought चलो रात को it was 11 12 बजे का time था. I was like चलो और कुछ करने को नहीं है, let's just tweet a story and it'll be a good time pass for folks. एक story डाली, I
Hmm.
went to sleep.
Yeah.
सुबह आके देखा तो like it had blown. Yeah, two stories I put. Right? Two
Yeah.
stories I put. I didn't, and one of those stories was actually pretty. It was one of those stories that sort of everybody knows. What I did
Hmm.
was I just twisted it a little bit. Because I just twisted the end of the story a little bit and
Yeah.
give it a different
Yeah.
story. I didn't figure out. It was सुबह उठा तो the bloody this thing had blown up. There were like 10,000, 20,000 reactions to it, likes to it. So then, and obviously there was a lot of stuff people were asking for more stories. So then I started tweeting every day, one story, one story, one story. And then suddenly it was like, I think collection of, I think first time I tweeted about 10, 12 stories and every it just blew up. It absolutely blew up. Like people from, not just from Delhi, but India and all over the world kind of
Hmm.
started following that. So that's from there it all started, right? And I think that the difference between those stories and other general ghost stories were these stories were set in midst of people. So the reader was actually in the middle of the story. So I deliberately set these stories up in the areas where either you pass by every day or you would have passed by at least if you live in Delhi, it's a
Hmm.
place where you very commonly go. Or if you're a tourist, you're bound to be somewhere in that place, right? You would have like read to that, even if you're in. I mean, you've never been in Delhi, but you still have known that there's a market called Sarojini Nagar Market, which is like a flea market kind of a thing. तो
Yeah.
जो भी बाहर से भी आया हुआ है वो भी वो वहाँ कहीं आसपास ना कहीं गया होगा. Either
Ah.
it's a nice monument or a eatery or some significance in pop culture and stuff like that. So you said the story in the midst. So reader is not part of the story. The reader is in the middle of the story.
Hmm.
And I absolutely didn't want to make it cliched,
Right.
which is like, it's not like, typical Jin story or typical Churel story or stuff like that, right? I didn't want to make it cliche.
Ah.
Because that would have been like insult to my intelligence. Because ek to, a 40-year-old man who's a
Yeah.
management consultant by profession,
Yeah.
tweeting ghost stories any
Ah.
which ways, is not a very common, with a
Ah.
relatively senior corporate executive
Ah.
tweeting a ghost story any which ways is to
Yeah.
me it was like, "Yeah, what am I doing?"
Ah.
And then making it cliche would have been just killed it. So I
Right.
just want to make sure that at least it's an intelligent story which people can relate to and resonate.
Hmm.
So that was the whole intent. So then it obviously blew up, and that's how you found me, and that's how a couple of other people found me.